Hello, beautiful people of the internet, and welcome back to my little corner of YouTube. So today I am joined by my friend Arlo. Can you introduce yourself very shortly? What do you do on YouTube?
On YouTube, I have two channels actually. I have a channel for music called Eyemèr, where I make music and I also do covers. And the other channel is a talking channel, and it's about LGBT plus topics.
Yes, so that's actually what we're going to do today as well. We are going to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart, but also to yours, because we are both non-binary and we wanted to talk a little bit about that today. So we just had a whole discussion that we did for your channel, so I will link that in the description and at the end of this video. And even though your video was a little bit more on topic, I just want to talk about like the broader aspect of it, because I remember I did like a sort of coming out video, like channel name change video at the end of 2019, I think. And a lot of things have changed for me since then. So I thought that maybe we could talk a little bit about that. So I'm gonna take my handy dandy note on my phone that has 10% battery. So the first question that I have, I'm very organized, I normally don't do this, is how or when did you realize that you were non-binary?
I will just say when I came out, because there were moments I was doubting it, and then there was the moment I was sure.
And when did you realize you were sure then?
I would say like the end of 2018, because I'm not good with like remembering dates, but I always, when someone asks me this, I look at my video on YouTube where I posted Birds You Can Fly.
Yeah.
I remember that I posted that video, and a week after that or a few days after that I actually came out. So it's very
so it's very much linked to each other.
Yeah,
okay,
so it's easy for me to like, okay, let's check it.
Yeah.
So I think it was like the end of 2018, December 2018.
And is there a specific thing that happened that made you realize that, oh, I actually feel more non-binary than whatever it is you were before that?
Yeah, what was I?
It's a mystery.
Yeah. Was I even a human? We're not sure.
Are we even all human? We live in a simulation. An existential crisis incoming. No.
This video is
it's all over the place. That's how
nice.
it's how it always works with me. So.
Okay, but to come back to your question, I think it began with seeing videos of other, in general, trans people on YouTube, and then just like being very interested in the topic, very interested.
You still are.
I'm still very interested.
Yeah.
I think at first I was like, okay, I'm just interested. It has nothing to do with me. And then when they started talking and explaining what it meant to them, I was like,
That makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of things like relate to me, and I think that was like a specific thing that made me realize, because non-binary is not something that you learn about in school, or not for our generation, you know.
No,
so it's definitely something you kind of needed to figure out on your own, and you needed to first come in contact with a resource to know that it's an option.
Exactly. That's actually how it went for me, because I never heard of non-binary. I never knew that there was something else until I met a friend of mine who came out as non-binary, and I was like, what is non-binary? What does this mean? And then they told me about it, and I was like, what? That's so interesting. Like,
interesting.
No, but really, because ever since I was young, I remember very distinctly thinking like, I wish I was a boy, because that would just be so much easier, but not necessarily because I thought I was a boy. It was more like, I was so interested in things that were like both traditionally like girly and traditionally boyish. And that's how later on I started realizing that, I maybe always have had that thing inside me. So when then I heard that somebody came out as non-binary, I was like, oh, that's very interesting. What is this? Tell me more about this. And then I kind of did the research, and that's how I personally like recognized that, oh, I do actually like this label, like it does fit me. And that's actually like basically the coming out story. Like that's basically how I ended up as a non-binary person now. So I do have like very specific memories of how it was before and how it is now. So that's why I was interested in what your story was.
I definitely relate to like those kind of things as well. As a small child, I was just very feminine, but I just didn't know any.
You didn't know any other way, right?
Yeah,
because that's just what it was.
But from the moment that I was a teenager, and that's normally the time that you start exploring and being more yourself. Normally, I remember that after a few years in was that middle school or high school? Middle school, I think. Middle school.
I have no idea.
Okay, when I was a teenager.
Let's put it that way.
As a teenager, I remember after a few years of school that I started listening more to like alternative music. And for me, it's very connected. From the moment that I started listening to that kind of music, I also started dressing more like people who made it, you know? The clothes are very masculine, you know? I felt really nice in that kind of clothing, wearing black all the time and also cutting my hair short at some point and even trying out some hair colors. I liked standing out and not following the rules, I guess.
Not being part of the mainstream.
It was not only not wanting, but also not being able to be part of the mainstream. I just wasn't able to conform to it, because when I tried a dress, I really did try that. I always felt a bit like I had to, but I didn't feel right in it. And then makeup, I actually never wore makeup when I was a teenager. I never did. I wasn't interested in it. I think I even had some very stereotypical beliefs about it. You know, it's too girly. Who even wears that? Stuff like that. Like now I'm not like that, but I was like, oh, that's definitely not for me.
Traditionally, it's more for girls.
And I related it to like everything I didn't want. I think if I had known about the label non-binary when I was a teenager, I probably would have related to it back then already, you know? But I didn't know about the label. I just felt like I was not stereotypical girl.
Yeah, same.
That was the closest to what I could.
Exactly, because I was always like the tomboy in my friend group as well. Because I wore, a bit similar to yours actually, because I wore like the big white skater jeans, and I had like band shirts. And the biggest difference between us two is that I did wear skirts sometimes, and I did like makeup. I mean, I still wear makeup today, just because it's something that I like. It's very creative to me. It's something that helps me express myself and stuff. And in the beginning, especially when I came out as non-binary at first, I was a bit torn, to be honest, because people have a very stereotypical idea of what a non-binary person should look like. Like, you should dress gender neutral, you're not allowed to wear makeup, your hair has to be short, all that kind of things. While when I came out, I had like, my hair was boob length, I still wore like a lot of makeup, I still wore dresses at the time. I wear less dresses now because I also don't feel very comfortable in it anymore. But like makeup, for example, is still something I do a lot. And I do get that question a lot as well, like, you're non-binary, why do you wear makeup? While the fact that I wear makeup has nothing to do with my gender, I feel like, but yet, because I present, I suppose, in a more feminine way, people often misgender me and think that like the non-binary thing is just like a phase and it will go away. So it's very similar to your story, but I feel like it's a little bit different as well.
Of course, and like there's not one way to be non-binary, or
exactly.
Even like the makeup thing. Now I wish I could be able to use makeup, because I need to say, like, the only thing I do now is like a little bit, you know, foundation, like to cover up some spots or stuff, or if I have like dark circles, concealer, like a little bit like that. But that's not like, I don't feel like that is real makeup, you know. It's not like I do something creatively with that. It's just like covering off stuff. I don't know anything else. Like, I don't know how to start with anything else. But I know as like a teenager, I had very stereotypical thoughts about it, and I think it also kind of came from the fact that people didn't like how I was. They were like, oh, you should wear more this and you should do more this. Definitely. So everything that was like different than me, I was like, yeah, and I don't want that what you do, you know? I don't want your makeup.
And I don't want your clothes, and I don't listen to your music. Same.
I was like, okay then.
But that's the thing that I try to advocate for right now on my socials. Actually, I haven't done a lot on my YouTube channel for a really long time, so this is like the first video that people will see in like 2 years, I think.
Oh, the pressure is
surprise! Yeah, I still exist. No, but I'm very active on my Instagram, for example, and every time I wear makeup or a skirt or something, I make a point to tell people that it's not because I do those things that I am not non-binary. Because makeup has no gender, clothing has no gender. To me, it's very important to know that even though you do those kinds of things, that does not define your gender. So I do talk about that a lot online, because it's just something that's very important to me, because I love makeup. I love to express myself with it, but it's just something that is like part of my identity, I feel like, and to stop wearing makeup altogether, for me personally, would be very weird. But yeah, it does lead to a lot of misgendering, and that's very annoying. But at the same time, that's kind of my activism. I am not going to change myself for what makes you comfortable. So that's kind of my idea around it.
Yeah, I understand. And
Another question that I have is, how do you deal with people misgendering you? And what's the difference between people close to you misgendering you and people that you don't know, like on the streets and stuff?
I feel like I had my ideal me, and my ideal me would be very firm, like kind, but still, if someone would misgender me, I would be like, hey, actually...
Everyone or just your family?
Well, no, not everyone. Family and friends. That would be the and colleagues at work, if I know them sometime. Yeah, also. But not like someone in the shop, I would be like, whatever. So the people that matter to me. I would be very firm, and I would be like, every time that it happens that I'm misgendered, I would be like, oh, actually, I would like it if you use this, or actually, it's they, not she. But in practice, I'm not ideal me yet.
So you don't do it that often then?
I would actually say that I hardly ever do it. I will always notice every time that a she is used and every time that I use gendered words that definitely do not apply to me, I will like remember it, I will hear it, but I don't think you will even see it. It's just something in my head. I'm like, oh, okay, no. But I just keep smiling.
Oh, really?
People pleasing. It's definitely something I want to do something about.
Okay.
Because, you know, when you've been out for some time, I feel like it's also different than when you've been out for a few months or maybe a year. Because then I feel like there's excuse of like, give people time. But if you've been out for 3, 4, I don't know how many years, I'm like, they know, and why is it still so hard and hardly ever used?
But if I hear it correctly, you don't really say anything about it then, usually.
I did have the talk with people in the beginning that I use they, them pronouns, but from the moment that, you know, I was out and the talk had happened, I don't think maybe once, you know, a reminder, but like, it's been a while. It's definitely been a long time since I've actually corrected anyone.
Okay.
And you?
I just say it. I'm like, hey, it's actually Jamie. Hey, that's not my pronouns. But I don't make a big deal out of it, so it's not like, this is the 5th time you've misgendered me today. Like, it's not like that. But I will point it out like, yeah, I get what you're trying to say. And by the way, it's actually they, them. It's more like a footnote to me. Like, I do say it every time, but I don't make a big deal out of it. And I have the same with people around me, actually. When people misgender my friends, I'm also like, oh yeah, it's actually they, them, but they are over there right now. And then I just, it's just like something that I throw into the conversation. And then I just go over it to tell people like, I've noticed it, please do something about it, but it's not that big of a deal. Because it's not like I'm gonna make people feel bad about using the wrong things. It's a bit like you said. It's a bit like you said when it comes to friends and family, I will correct them and I will say, hey, but it's they, them, hey, but it's actually Jamie, like I noticed that you used the wrong pronouns, whatever. But at the same time, I also work in a shop and I usually wear my pronoun badges, especially on the shop floor as well. And if people just blatantly ignore them, just continue and saying miss or missus or whatever, there's also a time and place. And when I'm in the shop, I just want to sell soap. I don't want to have a whole discussion about my gender. So then I let it slide. So when it comes from people I don't know, okay, it sucks because I do like to believe that regardless of the makeup, I do look gender neutral enough for people to not give me she, her pronouns. But at the same time, I don't know those people. I see them like once in my life probably, and then I never see them again. What is the point of putting all my time and effort into explaining to somebody who doesn't know and probably doesn't care? That just doesn't make sense to me. Especially when you are constantly being misgendered, or when you constantly have to basically fight for your existence, you have to kind of pick your battles. And like I said, a stranger on the street or somebody in the shop, it's just not worth it for me. While for people close to me, it is worth it because I see them a lot, I talk with them a lot, and I kind of want them to respect my decision. And if they don't, then that's kind of a testament to what kind of friend they are.
Yeah, I understand. Sometimes I would like to be like a different version of me when it comes to that. I think I kind of let things slide often because I'm focusing on other things when it comes to my gender. I'm like, okay, they're not using my pronouns, but they were there when I got top surgery. But they do use my name. And when they talk about me as a person, they have told their friends that I'm non-binary, and they are very proudly talking about the fact that I'm out as non-binary and I do activism about it. Then I'm like, in my head, I kind of make maybe an excuse for it, I don't know, but also it's a bit like, I don't want to be too harsh for people around me. I think I'm a bit scared that if I correct people, maybe I will not be as you. I feel like maybe in my head, maybe because I've also been not really doing anything for multiple years, maybe if I start doing it, I will be like, no! For many years you've not done it! Why?
Why are you suddenly doing it right now?
It's now time! I'm not sure. I think I'm scared to take the step.
Yeah, that makes
because
sense.
Maybe I will be calm about it. I feel like I've come to a point that I don't know anymore what my reaction will be. And I'm just scared of it, of
it
taking
being
this
very
step.
extreme. Yeah. No, I get it.
Well, I actually have to say I don't really see myself actually being that hard because I am a kind of a people-pleasing person.
Yeah, you are.
But maybe I'm just also scared of the possible conflict that it will create.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes you have to have a conflict to
resolve the problem.
To get to a better place. But I do feel like it's also good sometimes when it comes to the gender topic, definitely when it comes to friends, family that are not queer in any way, to also see the broader picture that it's not only about they them pronouns, but it's also about all the other things. And if they in many ways do show you that they are there for you, I feel like you cannot just say that like, oh, that's a transphobic person or something like that. I feel like it's not that radical then. It's okay, this one aspect for them is difficult, maybe we need to talk about it more, but it doesn't make them like this
a bad person.
It's not black and white sometimes, and that is something that I feel like a lot of trans people, non-binary people, I feel like they do think very radical about it, like if you don't do every step that I want you to do, then you are this, and it's not okay. And that is also not a good way of thinking in my head. Like I don't want to think like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when it comes to your name, because like we both changed our names, what was the question again? I thought I had a thing about the name as well, but I don't see it in my notes right now. Never mind, let's talk about something else.
I actually, but it's your video, but I just was thinking about the non-binary label, and a thing that I found very difficult was differing between like, am I just a masculine girl or am I non-binary? For a long time I didn't know what I was. Like, how do you know that you can claim the label non-binary? For me it's still very difficult, but I think it mostly comes down to, does the term just feel right to you?
Yeah.
And also, if I'm a mas girl, it means I still fall in the box girl. And at some point I was like, I don't feel like I fit that box anymore. I want to be broader. I feel like it can be a very difficult thing for people, like, what am I?
I don't think that there's a correct answer to that question. I think it's just whatever you feel is most comfortable for you. Because when I came out at first, I used she, they pronouns because I was like, you can still call me she, it's fine. I'm somewhere on the spectrum between this and that. And I've changed my mind about that because now, please don't call me a she because I will not appreciate it. Whilst I know that, again, I am very feminine in the way I present myself, but that doesn't take away the fact that I do feel non-binary. Like that label is just something that I feel like works really well for me. So yeah, it's difficult to answer that. It's just, I think it's different for everyone and everybody has to do what feels like more natural for them. And I think for me personally, that's just they, them.
I think for me what was difficult in that journey a long time ago, when I was like, let's say 19 or something like that. So almost like, it's 10 years ago, you know? Oh, crazy. So around that time, I had some Yumi at 6 covers on YouTube and they attracted quite some attention. My hair was shorter than it is now, like it was here or something. It was really short and it was like also not curly, like I
straightened.
Yeah. So I think I did look like I understand. People really thought I was a boy. And all the comments, they were like, boy or girl? Are you a boy or girl? Girl or boy? That was
Doesn't matter,
Yeah, but the thing was, at that point in time, 10 years ago, I was frustrated with that question.
Really?
I was even like, what the fuck? I'm obviously a girl. A girl.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm obviously a girl. Why are you asking me this? I was really frustrated with the question. And it's sometimes strange to me how much I have changed in 10 years because I think the more I came comfortable with being non-binary and being trans, the more I was like, actually, I do like it when people ask me, are you a boy or a girl?
Exactly.
Because it's the confusion that I like. But back then I was like, there's only 2 options also, girl, boy. And why are you thinking I'm a boy? I am not a boy.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. Like 10 years ago, being non-binary was not a thing that was so well spoken. You hear a lot of things about having a third gender in some cultures and some people, like some other cultures that do not conform to one gender or the other. But we're from Belgium. Girl, boy is ingrained so much into everything we do here that the idea that there was something else out there that we could be was just not an option. You were either, like you said, a feminine guy or a masculine woman. Like there was no in between. Non-binary was not a thing. Same thing with being on the trans spectrum. The first time somebody told me that being non-binary means you're on the trans spectrum, I thought that was weird. Because to me, being trans meant that you were a boy born in a female body or a female born in a boy's body. I only knew the two extremes of the spectrum because that's the only thing people knew back then. So it is actually very interesting to see how the times have changed, and it's a good thing. And that's why I think it's so important that we keep talking about those kinds of things as well, because now we can talk about it and make it easier for the people that come after us. We're still not there. There's still a long way to go. When I came out to my family, for example, and I said, hey, I'm non-binary, nobody knew what that was. But then again, I live in the city, they do not. Living in a small, like, countryside town, it's different because it's not that well known. But at the other hand, things like the internet have made it so much easier for us to be who we are. And again, there's a really long way to go, but we are getting somewhere. And the fact that we are where we are now compared to 10 years ago is huge, I feel like.
Definitely, yeah.
I also had another question about you more personally. How did coming out influence your music? Because you are a musician, you've always made music and been very creative with that. Has it really changed a lot music-wise?
Definitely, yeah. I feel like my music and definitely the gender aspect of me are very intertwined. As I said before, like, I actually came out with a song, so it was like kind of like
that was your way of expressing it then.
Yeah, when I already was out as queer sexuality-wise, I actually was very scared to like talk about that kind of topic in my music, because it was just a thing that many people told me, like, don't intertwine the two, you know, because there will be people who are following you, and if you start talking about these things, even if you just make a post, you don't have to make the music, you know, but just the fact that you talk about LGBT topics, if there's people who don't like that, then maybe they will not be a fan anymore and you will lose a crowd. Also, I don't think I was ready yet, so that's also a thing. I don't think I was ready to like just blatantly tell everyone. I was also scared myself. I sometimes thought about writing about these kind of things, or even just making a post like saying I was queer in a way or stuff like that, but I hear these things around me like, don't do it, so I didn't do it. And then when it came to the non-binary thing, I had been thinking for a few months, okay, I am pretty sure I am non-binary, so now I have to think about coming out. I had a lot of emotions about that. I was really scared to come out as non-binary. I was also scared to come out as queer sexuality-wise, but less different. It was different because I was like, people know about this, and the non-binary thing, they will think that it's not a thing. There will be a lot of reactions, and I have to explain so many things. So I was really scared of like, what is going to be the reaction of the people around me. And the first thing that I actually started doing was just writing. And I wrote Bird You Can Fly about coming out as non-binary. I wrote it very, very quickly. I don't know, just an evening.
Yeah, it really had to get out of your system.
Yeah, like that. Like I really, like, I think I felt really emotional that night because I was getting ready to come out. So I was like, oh my god, I cannot do it. and I think I even cried that evening. I don't know. And then in the middle of the crying, I was like picking my guitar and I was like, I was like, oh, actually this makes sense.
Yeah, we've all been there. I've done that too. Yeah.
Oh, this meltdown is helping me in a way, and and there's coming something musically from this. Yes, let's have more meltdowns. No, but actually, I was pretty emotional. That's true. And so I actually just posted that on the internet. I didn't think twice about it, when normally I do think about what I post when I posted, but I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to
putting
post
it out there.
And I realized like when I typed like non-binary song on YouTube, at that time there was really not much coming up. There didn't seem to be like a song about being non-binary, so I was like, yeah, the internet needs this. Like
that makes sense.
I made this, so I'm just going to put it out there, and it felt very relieving. Yeah, I don't know. From that moment on, it actually got a lot of views, and many people who like related to it and who used it to come out themselves, which was really crazy for me to hear.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I sometimes cannot fathom that, because I feel like it's definitely an honor if someone uses your song. I cannot imagine like going to your parents and like, here,
this is what I feel like. And then it's your song.
And then I hope that it's clear from my song what they mean. But yeah, that was like the first step for me, and it felt very empowering. And since then, I've made so many songs about being queer, and I've actually made it part of who I am, you know. I am a queer musician, and not just a musician. I'm a musician who writes about queer topics. I am queer, I'm very open about it. And it's very empowering.
So your music definitely changed.
Yeah, because I just started writing about these topics. And also, maybe it also impacted the fact that I started working with a producer and not on my own anymore. Like I I definitely feel like my music, like musically, has improved a lot since then as well, because I just felt more like myself, and I'm going to try out more things. I have more freedom, so I'm also going to try more things out with my music and get other people involved to make it better. So
that's really interesting to hear, because I feel like, I mean, I still write music, I just don't post about it that much, because I also write a bit like you did with your song. I write it to get it off my chest. I have depression, I'm mentally ill. That makes that my songs are very, very triggering. Like, I write about very, very serious topic. Like in that aspect, I'm like a true emo.
That's okay.
Which is good, but that makes it very difficult for me to share these things with people, because it's literally like the darkest parts of myself that I put in songs. But for me personally, nothing has changed about the way I write my songs since I came out. Not as pansexual and also not as non-binary, because I don't write about those things. To me, it's more like I write about my mental struggles or the things I feel at that moment. My gender and my sexuality have never been a source of struggle for me personally, and I know that I'm super lucky to say that. Like, I'm very privileged to say that. I never felt like I needed to write that off my chest. While for other things, like being depressed and having mental health issues, for me that is a way to express myself, because a bit similar to your thing, I feel like people don't usually sing about mental health things, and the biggest difference is that I don't share these things. I literally just write them to give myself some peace of mind. It's like a form of therapy for me.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to ask that question specifically, because I know that you make a lot of queer related music, and I've never done that, and I just thought that was very interesting, since we're both songwriters, but like in a very
Definitely.
So yeah, that was actually everything I wanted to ask you. I mean, I had a lot of questions, but we naturally kind of went through them. Yeah, that was actually really fun. I really like that we could just sit down and have like a very casual, talky conversation about this. Like, this was really fun for me. Thank you so much for being here.
I don't know if you have any kind of way to say bye, because there was something in the beginning and
not necessarily.
Something like this again.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, it's a thing.
Bye.
It's a thing I do. No, I don't have a specific goodbye. Oh, there is one thing I do actually. I always have a question of the day in my videos, in my talking videos.
Okay.
So if you have a question of the day for the audience so that they can talk about it in the comments, do you have anything?
Oh, about what? Like,
it doesn't matter.
Any topic.
Usually it's a bit video related. It would be weird if you suddenly ask people, what's your favorite color? So I usually do something like topic related. But I know that this is very out of the blue, so if you don't have anything, I will just take it off.
Yeah, like, how do you identify gender-wise? And have you ever questioned your gender? Even if at the moment you identify as cisgender, have you ever thought even about being something else?
That's a really good question. I like that. So as always, the comments are open, so you can always just leave your opinions down there. We will check them out. We will talk about it and have a very open discussion, because we like doing that here. You can find Arlo on Instagram and on YouTube. I will link all of the channels and all of the details, both in the description and on screen and everywhere that YouTube wants me to link stuff. And that's about it for me. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks again for being here. Again, everything will be linked everywhere, and I will see you again very soon.